welcome to a Collider Heroes interview special. I'm Amy Dallen.
I'm Coy Jandreau.
And we are delighted to welcome Aphra Williams and Andrew Stehlin from Dark Phoenix, now in theaters.
Yes! Thanks for having us.
Yes, absolutely.
We are very excited to have you come join us and talk to us a little bit about what it was like making this movie. Obviously, our folks will know Andrew Stehlin from comic book movie classics like 30 Days of Night and nerd classics like a Tolkien verse that you might have heard of. And you're about to fall for Aphra Williams, who plays one of the mysterious characters in Dark Phoenix. If you have not seen the movie yet, run out and see it and then come back and watch this because we're going to have spoilers on the table. All right, so with all that out of the way, how's it going? You all excited for the movie?
Very excited, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is such a big franchise, and I would say, along with Blade, the franchise that started the superhero movement. So it is quite impactful for the nerd kind. What was it like the moment you found out you were part of something this important to so many people? Like, how does that register?
It was very exciting. I think it was kind of like more of a moment of silence to begin with, and I'm like, okay. Obviously auditioning for it, I had no idea the character that I was auditioning for, we get given different sides and, it's all very secretive. So then to be on set and kind of get handed everything and learn everything, I'm like, ooh, it's so exciting.
It's so good. I travelled over with the Australian stunt team, which was led by Guy Norris. I was meant to be just a utility stunt performer. Also, assistant flight coordinator to Richard Norton, which was the flight coordinator on that. And it just escalated from there.
They said, you're not staying in the chorus line, kid. Get out here.
Yeah, exactly. It was an amazing journey.
And you both play really important characters to the film, and to go from auditioning not knowing what that's going to be into something that's so impactful, like your fight, and we're going spoilers, like we've warned you twice, your fight with Kurt Wagner is so cool, and I love X-Men 2's Nightcrawler moment, and I was like, how are they going to possibly make me love a new Nightcrawler? Oh wait, that's how. What was that fight like on the day, fighting something that actually bamfs?
I know. Well, it was really, I've never filmed anything like that before, and to kind of have him bamf out of the scene and then kind of, then punch, sorry if you haven't seen it, to punch where he was, it was just really interesting to see how the directors went about shooting that and all the different takes, because like one scene that would take, technically it could take a couple of minutes to film would take 5 hours.
Wow.
Just to make, because it's like when you reset, they're resetting everything. And for the scenes in the train, like that's a lot. And if the carriages are moving, it's a lot involved.
There's a lot that you go through during that train scene specifically. What were there any big surprises of doing that scale of stunt work?
Yep. I in the reshoots, I didn't realize, because they, we went into 3 months of reshoots, so there's things that the character's doing now that I wouldn't necessarily have done in the first, when we shot it in 2017. So there was a lot that was new to the table and so exciting. To work with the crew and the stunt guys, I have I don't know how you guys do it.
So Andrew, how do you do it?
Bit like this.
We're very curious about the stunt process. Coy has obviously done some of this and been in that world, but for me, it's all new and I love hearing about it. What made this set different, or what were some interesting challenges about this project?
Coming up with new superheroes. So they wanted, I think it was first of all 5 different superheroes, but then they cut it down to 2. So they had Coda playing Celine, and then they Richard Norton came up with the idea of the other mutant power. It was like a combination of quite a few mutants, but then it's quite unique.
And that's the original character you got to help make for yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So he came up with the idea about the hair growing out 10 feet and battling, and then I sat back and I was like, okay, well, how about we try something, so movement, and then trying to do something without something really there.
Yeah.
It's quite, like, you got to visualize this crap.
Now, you know that for millions of kids like us, the ultimate dream of your life is that someone says you get to make up your own mutant to live in the X-Men universe.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
So thank you for being our avatar on the big screen there.
Stunts are so tangible and practical. Generally, you're dealing with the most hands-on, literal representation of filmmaking. Right. But on this scale, it's the opposite. Was that counter to a lot of your training before this? Was that like a new learning curve of like, I would typically have to do this, but now this make-believe hair is doing this? Like, how did you reframe your stunt work?
Well, I mean, being in the industry for about 21 years, it's sort of like, as you know, it flows, and with movement. And so just coming up with the idea of this character it just flowed, really. So once we got all the logistics, it started making sense.
Were there any particularly inspiring sources for that movement design? Or you want to keep your secrets of your inspiration process? I understand.
No, that's fine. I think it was just being able to manipulate the hair. Mm-hmm. with movement of the body, instead of just standing there in the hair doing its own thing. Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of that with other.
I felt like it. Not to bring up Inhumans, but unlike some other properties where the hair feels like it's an addition, this felt like it was part of you. And I really liked that the fighting style felt like it was like you had multiple limbs instead of limbs and limbs. Like it was a full part of your existence.
It was a part of the. Yes, that's right.
And I think that takes a stunt person who should be given all of the love and credit, because the stunt people, they move so differently. And I think it's really important that Hollywood sees that these movies can't exist without people that move for a living. Absolutely. So it was beautiful to see that translated. It was amazing.
Oh, that's absolutely.
So speaking of the people without whom the movie wouldn't exist, is there anything you have to, like, any experiences that you took away from this cast that you worked with and the team that was with you on this?
It was an amazing cast. I will say, just speaking of the stunts, when I had my stunt scenes, the stunt team was so amazing. It was literally a group that would come with me. They're like, okay, so this is how you can move, this is how you can do this. When I had to get rigged up to get shot at, they were like, this is how you're gonna do it. And I'm like,
okay.
But the stunt and the crew were amazing, and the actors, everyone, it's a well-oiled rig. I think it's been going for a long time, so everyone works so well together. It was a pleasure working with Jessica Chastain, to be part of her little group. Mm-hmm. She's an absolute sweetheart and incredibly talented. And I think everyone just works so well together. That was the biggest thing I took away. I was like, for such a huge production, how smooth everything goes, how it's just like everyone has so much respect for each other. It was a very incredible job to be a part of.
Oh, that's lovely to hear.
Yeah.
It's a very unique thing, and I think in this case very positively, that you come back to a film and get to like recreate some things. And what was it like from a performer standpoint to like have not seen these folks and then come back and felt like the well-oiled machine, you fell back into the well-oiled machine. How is it different between the time apart?
Well, as an actor, you're always, when you have to say goodbye to a character, there's always that, I don't want to say goodbye. And then to be able to come back for another 3 months, it's like, yes. And
reborn from the ashes, you're Phoenix.
Exactly. And then you have that opportunity to really develop deeper relationships with your coworkers, to get to explore that character deeper, have more time on that. I think that it was a gift as an actor. Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with there are some moments where you have to convey a ton of information in like 3 lines of dialogue, and very few can do that, like Michael Fassbender. That man, when he like just says it, you're like, I believe everything you've ever
I will do anything you say.
I agree, whatever this is. And then it's Magneto, you have to be like, he was right. You're like, no, what am I? It's a horrible. The scene where you're introduced, I was completely on board, having known nothing of the things he did to absolve himself. Like he's been a criminal, and all of a sudden I'm like, he's leading me. What a guy. In your perspective, what was life like in that like community? Was there backstory discussed with like Michael Fassbender, with Simon? Was there like a unity? It felt so cohesive.
Just got thrown in there. I was like, okay, so you're just going to be on an island, and and I was like, okay, so this is a whole pack of mutants around us. We're sort of like been here for a while, I think.
It felt very
didn't
like
really know
fleshed
the
out.
backstory, so but it all worked out really well. We just went with the flow. Flow.
I think because you helped create that character and just stood into it, I feel like you didn't really have to prepare so much because you created it.
It
You're already
certainly
the
communicates. Like the look, whoever was doing the production design for that, like gave the whole thing a very established look that helps the audience fill in all the pieces there. So it's neat to know that everyone was just like, we have what we need. We have what we need to communicate that.
Yeah.
Now, Nightcrawler specifically is so specific looking and so iconic to the world of X-Men. The first time you saw Nightcrawler and knew that was going to
In
be
his costume.
like, what was the moment of, because not the average person will never get to see how cool that looks in life. What was that like to see someone in costume?
I think I touched him.
Yeah.
And then like the tail. I was just like looking at him, and because he's Australian as well, and we have quite a few scenes together, it was really fun to work on X-Men with a fellow Australian and have those fight scenes. And really, he's a sweetheart.
He is.
Yeah. But yeah, I touched him a lot. Pretty bird.
And sometimes you'd walk past, you got a hole in your pants? Oh yeah, that's right.
The tail.
That's where the tail goes. Okay.
I like that you're looking out though, yeah.
So you two individually, how did you first get into stunt work? Like, what drew you to it, and like what led you down that path?
I mean, I'm an actor. I haven't done stunt before, so this was really, it was an eye-opener. But I had an amazing team to work with me. And Jim Churchman, the stunt coordinator on X-Men, was also incredibly helpful. I just really experienced people bring it together and be like, okay, very professional, they're very safe. I'm like, great. But I've actually walked away and I'm like, I want to do more. I would really,
It's real addicting.
I want to do more. I want to coach some more people.
So
What was that moment for you? When did you know you wanted to do more?
I was a hairdresser.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
That makes so much more sense. Now that Lotus's backstory is complete, it all makes sense.
And I was doing some extra work on Xena and Hercules way back then.
Oh, heck yeah.
I liked that show. That was a good show.
Yeah, it was a great show. And I saw these stunt performers get up and do their thing, and it's like, wow, I'd really love to do that, because I was doing martial arts at the time.
Cool.
And then, like how you put it out there, and then all of a sudden the road just led me down the path where all of a sudden the instructor that I was training with, he knew the stunt coordinator that was trying to put a team together to go down to Lord of the Rings, because all of the stunt performers were busy with Hercules and Xena.
Yeah.
So then got him. There was only about 10 of us that went down to Wellington to begin with, and then wow, it just
That's
turned into
amazing. That's a dream.
That's
role,
so
right?
cool.
To be able to work on a lot of the
Yeah, right.
So just went from there, and
So you watched that whole world grow because you've stayed
yeah.
involved with the
absolutely.
Tolkien verse.
It was amazing. It was an amazing journey. Got to travel in New Zealand.
I mean,
I would
talk
have
about
never
a
have
great
done
place
this.
to start,
Yeah, like to start a journey with the hobbits on a journey.
right?
Yeah, that's
Fate.
great.
And then going from one of the most lush and visually like colorful universes to 30 Days of Night, which is as bleak as it gets, and now you're balancing it with X-Men, which is
Absolutely, yeah. The yin and yang.
What would you like to do that you haven't gotten to do yet?
Wow, I suppose there's so much to do, right? And you know what? Whatever it is, I'll enjoy doing it.
That's a wonderful attitude.
I love that perspective. Was there any moment on set you'd like to share, like a favorite day, any crazy hijinks? Like what was like when you think back on the time on set? Like what's a fond memory that you guys have from any specific day? Or funny, perhaps.
That you can tell us about.
I feel like every day was a ride. I mean, there are long days, right? You're on set for 16, 18-hour days. I feel like my highlight was getting rigged with like 60 blanks and getting, what are they called?
The squibs?
Yeah, squibs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Those hurt, guys.
Like 30 on each side, and when I'm getting shot at, kind of, woo!
Boom, 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 boom.
The day you were indestructible.
Yeah.
Seems like it would be memorable, yeah.
I think because I was also scared. I'm like, are these gonna hurt, like these glass things? But then you get it and you're like, oh no, I got this. I got this. Yeah, I think that was my favorite.
Squib day. It's a good day.
Squib day. Yeah.
Andrew, any faves?
Yeah, the whole creation of everything, really, of the character, and that was my favorite. And then when we had something together, we showed the second unit director, and then he was like, okay, which is Guy Norris, and then he was like, okay, so let's go and show Simon, and then showed Simon, and he really liked it. And then it was like the next question was, who was going to play this guy? And then Simon was like, well, let's just get that guy to play it. And then it came back to me that I was going to be playing Red Lotus. And I was like, oh, what? Okay. So then, the journey began from there. It was just amazing.
Oh, it's
Oh,
fantastic.
that's wonderful.
I hope it, like Quake from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we see Red Lotus in the comics. I hope it translates. Like, I love when we see mediums go
Your
the other
version,
way. And
yeah.
that'd be really cool. Is there anything before the movie? Well, the movie's out when people are watching it right now because it is. We've been spoiler all these things. But is there anything you want people to take away from the X-Men? Like, the X-Men's message to me is so important and so rad. Is there anything from set you guys want the people to know? I always end with a tricky question. Sorry.
I know, right? I feel like just be yourself. I think that's a great message to take away from that everyone is different. We all have our quirks. We all have our talents. People are always going to judge us, but make sure you stay true to yourself. I think that is an important thing to take away from all these X-Men.
That's a beautiful message.
Yeah.
I can't top that.
Yeah.
That's absolutely perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
This long road is out there. The movie is finally out. Your lives of secrecy can finally end. Is that gonna? Are you looking forward to that? Finally getting to share this with people?
It's been it's almost been a 2-year. It's a long time coming. It absolutely.
But
I will just say, working with Simon, it was amazing to work with a director who's written the script, who knows so much about the characters.
Yeah.
And to work with him, he was an absolute sweetheart.
I'll also say his directing like a Jim Lee comic is so important. There were frames that were literally from X-Men 92, and that made me so happy. So as a nerd, I was really excited to see fighting that looked like what I thought X-Men would look like.
He was
I'm
so
glad
knowledgeable.
you find that exciting. That's amazing. That's so good.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it, really.
Well, folks, check out X-Men. It is in theaters right now. And
Dark
thank you guys
Phoenix.
so much. Where can they find you on the internet? Where can they hunt you down?
Oh.
Are you on Twitter
Do I
and
want to be
Instagram?
stalked? No.
On the
IMDb.
internet.
Instagram, Aphra_J with an E on the end.
Fantastic. Are you anywhere on the internet?
Andy Stehlin.
Perfect. Hunt them down. They did incredible work. Thank you guys so much for
Thank
joining
you for
us.
having us, guys. Appreciate it.
and congratulations.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
So until next week, stay sweaty.
Thanks, guys.
Peace out.